Hi everyone. My name is Jerry Wise, and I want to talk today about narcissistic parents and how they rob us of our childhood. And then actually, we don't even have a childhood or a playfulness that we would have in adulthood because of that robbing. I've been helping people for many decades, 40 some years, and helping people to get their dysfunctional and narcissistic families out of them. Those who grew up in addicted families, alcoholic families, neglectful, abusive families, and helping them find a new self. What are some of the ways that they rob us of our childhood? A lack of emotional support. Narcissistic parents don't know how to be emotionally supportive. They know how to be fake emotional supportive, but then that kind of confuses us as kids, and there again, there goes a robbing of our childhood. Because sometimes the narcissistic parent, when we were growing up, would fake that emotional support. And we think, oh, well, good, they're acting better now. Then we get home, and it's just the opposite. And then they end up invalidating our feelings, and we feel ashamed of our feelings because we don't get that emotional support. And often emotional support, if you wonder what that means, emotional support is someone is supporting you in your feeling journey, that your feelings are validated and accepted. Number two, they will manipulate and control. We know narcissistic parents do this. They must manipulate and control because they can't have a mutual relationship. It must be a one-up, one-down relationship for a narcissist. And they need to maintain that dominance. Well, for us as children, that's very damaging because we get gaslit and we're children and we may not know the way the adult world really is. So they can fool us rather easily because we don't have much to compare it to. And especially when the narcissistic parent says, well, this is the way families operate. Well, if you haven't, this is just the way the family is. If you haven't grown up in somebody else's home, then this seems very normal. But then that robs us of our childhood in finding a self because we're always dominated by the narcissistic parent. And that can go on into adulthood as well. Emotional neglect. So there's a lack of emotional support. Then there's emotional neglect that can rob us of our childhood. We don't receive a nurturing. We don't receive that affection and nurture that's genuine and unconditional. Leaves us as empty and unworthy because we didn't get that. And so we feel empty and unworthy. Number four, a lack of boundaries. Narcissistic parents disregard children's boundaries. Narcissists always disregard boundaries because boundaries are for other people, not for them. There are no boundaries when it involves the relationship with them. And this lack of boundaries can stunt a child's ability to develop a healthy self. And so boundaries were never allowed. Respect is not something that narcissists are known for unless they're trying to put on a good image or a good show. But they are not going to respect their children. Again, children are seen as property or objects and not that we are loving them in a caring, loving way. Though they keep saying, well, I'm your mother, I'm your father, of course I love you. But that doesn't line up with the evidence. Number five, focus on achievement. Again, narcissists will push us as children, which robs us of our childhood, push us in one way or another, whether to become a neurologist, whether to become a singer or musician, whether to become a gymnast, 4-H, whatever. Any number of things the parent may push you into sports so that, again, it is something that burnishes and brandishes and shines their image of who they are as a parent. Not so much worried about how you feel about it and what you want. So we get pushed into a lot of things. And again, you can have neglect with that too, where they don't even care what you do and don't support you in that. But the opposite is that where we have a lack of boundaries and they're not allowing us to kind of explore with them as normal parents or healthy parents would do what I want to do with my life. or who I want to be as a kid, or developing my character and things like that. It leaves us feeling inadequate, either inadequate or we seek after perfectionism. So perfectionism or inadequacy is usually the polarization of what we will feel if we grew up with parents or narcissistic parents who did not respect boundaries, didn't have any, didn't know what they were, trying to teach them. Number 6, role reversal. Oftentimes, role reversals will happen. The parent becomes the needy one and then becomes needy with the child. Well, that reverses the roles, and what do you think that does to developmental childhood? It doesn't do well when you reverse roles. It really does not do well. When we have to be adults at age 6, and they're acting like 6-year-olds, and we've got to be adults at age 6, that messes up our important developmental experiences, and we miss out on that, robbing part of that childhood from us. Number 7, low self-esteem and self-worth issues. We get constant criticism from the narcissist. We experience then low self-esteem, self-doubt, a lack of self-worth. And as children, we grow up with those notions about ourselves, and that seems normal. What are some things you can do? Stop expecting your narcissistic parents to be able to give you what they were never able to give you. So that's one of the ways we can begin to break that cycle. I think, second of all, accepting the fact that the narcissistic parent was the way they were and the enabling parent was the way they were, because of all their issues and all their stuff going on with them and from their past generations, which we cannot change. They're not going to change. There's no sense focusing on trying to change them. And that now I can turn my work towards me and changing me, because I'm not going to be able to change them, nor do I have a time machine. Now, I'm not saying our feelings about what happened during those times are invalid. No, I think it's very helpful to work through the feelings of that. But keeping the focus on the narcissist, and often that's an obsession for them to change or do it right or ask forgiveness, or that's just not in the narcissist toolbox to be able to do that. Then we can ask a question, as an adult, how are you robbing these things from yourself? Emotional support? Over-controlling? Neglecting yourself? Not setting internal boundaries? Choosing your achievements? Not role reversaling with other people, meaning if you're a people pleaser or over functioner, you've got a role reversal going on. Because then I'm doing for you what you should be doing for yourself. And that's what we codependents, and that's what we adult children of narcissists will get into. And I think for me as a pastor, it was kind of a paid codependency. I'm not saying all pastors do that. I'm not saying all pastors have to. But I'm just saying for me, that was kind of an experience that I had. I need to be caregiving. And also it would help my self-esteem if I did that. Well, I needed to work on my self-esteem, and I needed to work on my own self so I could give to others in a healthier way. And then low self-worth. Do we continue feeling badly about ourselves? That's something we can work on, regardless of what the narcissistic parent does, or if they passed away, or if they're still haranguing you. Regardless of that, you can work on those issues. How are we robbing these things from ourselves today? And that's why I use the phrase, it's never too late to have a happy childhood. Because the child's still in you. So it's never too late. Let's not give up. We now parent that little child, not the narcissistic parent. Do we give ourselves empathy? Do we find ourselves seeking validation from other people while not validating ourselves? And it's important that we validate ourselves. And I would suggest, I've got a program, Your New Road to Self. Take a look at it. Take a look at what I'm offering. There's a link down below. I think you'll find it very helpful in some of these areas to work on reversing these things. You get training, you get group monthly meetings with me live for a year, and also exercises, tools in this program. Remember that many of these things are not a how question. How do I love myself? And I've had people say, well, I can't love myself. I don't know how. And I'm saying, well, you're asking an how question, and it's a when question. It's not a how question. It's a when question. When are you going to love yourself? Not how. You already have a instinctual, natural ability to love yourself. That has been wounded, traumatized, broken, all kinds of things that's going on. I understand that that has been wounded, but now you have a chance to love yourself, and love is a choice. It's not a magic. It's not, oh, if I just find this book that gives me the 3 easy steps to love myself. No, there's no book. There's when are you going to start? And I found that to be a recovery dynamic for me that helped me tremendously. Rather than looking for the next 20 years of how, I didn't know it was a when question. And we want to love and accept ourselves. I certainly want you to subscribe today, comment, like this video. I appreciate you spending the time with me. Have a great day and be wise.